Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Vsauce video. Just gonna do casual hangout. I'm trying to clean this thing. Yeah, let's go. Did people used to look older? Vsauce is Vsauce. They're amazing. Did people used to look older? Yeah, it was an interesting thumbnail. Oh, I hope it's... Yeah, right here. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Hey.
Hey, Vsauce. Michael here. At the age of 18, Carl Sagan looked like a teenager. But it doesn't take long in an old high school yearbook to find teenagers who look surprisingly old. These people are all in their 20s, but so are these people. This is Elizabeth Taylor when she was just 7.
When she was 7? What the hell?
But so are these people.
17, obviously. Yeah, he looks 40. He looks 35. He looks 25. He looks 38, 9.
This is Elizabeth Taylor when she was just 17.
Do you think it was just fashion trends of their parents that make the generation look older? Maybe the fashion trends of parents today just are less formal?
And here are some high school students from the 70s.
When you look formal, you look older?
Did people used to look older? Brandon McCarthy asked on Twitter, and evidence poured in. People shared photos of their parents in their early 20s, their dad at 21.
No.
Their parents.
These are my parents when my mom was pregnant with me. They were like 23. No shot. You mean your mom was 23? No shot. Also, I've heard that testosterone levels have been lowering. I'm guessing that's because testosterone in the past was much more of a indicator of passing on your genes because you were probably bigger and stronger. And as time goes on, strength and size has mattered less, and it's more intelligence and craftiness that can get you further in life. And so that doesn't desire as much testosterone, and like survival of the fittest isn't really a thing anymore. You can be very poor and very unhealthy and yet have 12 kids in like West Virginia, or you can be very wealthy, very educated, went to Harvard and had 1 kid. So actually that would go against my argument. Never mind, I guess.
In their early 20s, their dad at 21.
That's nuts.
Their mom at 18 or 19.
I'm 28. I'm almost 29. My birthday is September 3rd. It is July 15th. I'm almost 29. And this guy is 8 years younger than me. To be fair, I've always been kind of baby faced my entire life. Like, I've always had a kind of young appearance. Like, what I can remember as far back as I remember. When you're younger, it's a bad thing. But I guess as I get older, it'll be a better thing. But I hated growing up how I always used to look younger than people my age.
Dad at 21.
I gotta stop pausing.
At 18 or 19.
You're kidding me! What? She's 45, 50. Like a really, really healthy, good-looking 50-year-old. And I'd be like, yeah.
Their dad at 45.
If he was 55, I'd be like, damn, you look old for your age. He's 45. Guys, okay, sorry. We have to, this is where we got to be smart with statistics, okay? Obviously, the most the craziest examples are going to be noticed the most and proliferated the most and showed the most. And so it's not like it's like a random poll of like, what did your dad look like when you were 45? Obviously, this is, he probably looked, even for the time, older for his age. Mine's not as amazing as many here, but here's my dad and I at Nixon's inauguration parade in '73. When did Nixon leave the White House? My dad was 45. People thought he was my grandfather all the time. See, even back then, people confused this guy with his grandfather. So even back then, he was clearly old for his age. That doesn't take away from how crazy it is. Is this video already like 4 minutes and I'm not even a minute in? I'll stop pausing.
One user shared their husband at 27 and what his father looked like at 23. And there's pretty much an entire subculture around how old footballers looked decades ago. 24, 31, 33, 29, 27. It's not uncommon to think that there's something more grown up about.
I had my last time pausing for a while. He doesn't look that old, but I hear this brings me back to the testosterone thing. I hear that higher levels of testosterone lead to more facial hair growth and fuller facial hair and thinner, less hair and more baldness. And a lot of these people seem to have a lot of facial hair and not a lot of hair on top. So that goes to testosterone maybe. But I can't explain why.
It's not uncommon to think that there's something more grown up about the way people used to be.
Oh my God, that's what my mom looks like. That's what my mom. When I see pictures of my mom when she was like 19, 20, that's
grown
the hairstyle
about the way people used to be. To look back and think that people seemed older at a younger age than they do now. Let's call it retrospective aging. It doesn't happen to everyone. People do not and never have aged similarly. And
who's Dua Lipa? That's a really famous person who I should know, but I don't. She's a singer, I think. Dad, Prince William, 38. Well, he is a product of a lot of unorthodox breeding in his lineage, so that was mean.
And there's even the opposite observation that kids these days grow up too fast. But it's a popular question and subject of numerous memes. So, is it real?
I have it. I have it.
Or is
I
it
have the
an
answer.
illusion fueled by cherry-picked examples that...
I have the answer. I have the answer. You ever notice how, like, long hair and beards become more popular in certain, like, in the 60s, 70s, and then in the 80s, it was more rock groups, but, like, the average person, I think, less so had long hair, and in the 90s, a bit less, and music groups, obviously, but it's like the people in the 60s and 70s, I feel like their generation was much more conservative than them. And the 80s generation, I think, was much more conservative than their kids. And so I feel like whenever there's the swap of, oh, my parents were so old and conservative and closed-minded, I'm going to be open-minded. And then they create a generation who's like, oh, my parents are too open-minded, I need to be more conservative. And then cycle.
Feeds rosy nostalgia for a time when people were tough and didn't have it as easy as you kids have it now. Well, as it turns out, both. Humans today really are aging more slowly than their historic counterparts. Changes in lifestyle, nutrition, smoking habits, healthcare, early life conditions, and skincare, particularly the use of sunscreen, are a huge part of it. By comparing measures of metabolic, cardiovascular, inflammatory, kidney, liver, and lung function across time, researchers at Yale and USC have found that we are, in fact, staying younger for longer than we used to. So does that mean that 60 is the new 50? Almost. Their results suggest...
I feel like this is the same linked. I'm sure it's related to how people are taller as nutrition gets better. Kind of, you know, back then where people's height average was like 5'7". By back then, I mean like 100 years ago, 120 years ago. You know, we're much shorter. And because of the diet and how healthy they were. And so I feel like the body probably recognizes how healthy it is and the nutrition and lifestyle that is making it more likely or less likely to die and deteriorate. Maybe fast forwards the aging process to kind of stay up with that. And if you have a much better, much better nutrition in your food and doctor visits and better technology, then maybe your body kind of recognizes, hey, I'm getting enough stuff to stay a bit younger longer. And
just that between
I don't know what I'm
the
saying.
Early 90s and the late 2000s, 60 became the new 56. 40 became the new 37 and a half, and 20 became the new 19. Oh, also, during the last century, dentistry and orthodontics have played a huge cosmetic role in the kinds of faces we see in parts of the world. But interestingly, when faces in parts of the world. But interestingly, when faces in magazines are measured from the 1930s to today, the only significant change has been that across all ethnicities, the media is now exposing us to larger lips. Also, retroactive aging can occur over short time spans. When I was a freshman, the seniors in my high school seemed so old to me. But by the time...
Right. Also, time. You guys ever realized, fast forward if you because this isn't really related. This is fascinating. Do you guys ever realize how much a year was when you were like 10? Like a year was so far in the future, it was not worth even thinking about. But as you got older, a year seemed like less and less and less and less time. And it's obviously because of experience. If you're 5 years old, someone tells you in a year, that's a fifth of your lifespan. A year, and by the time you're like 50, you gotta wait a year. It's been like, okay, a year? That'll come by in no time. That's fascinating to me.
Time I was a senior myself, I looked in the mirror and at my peers and I was like, we're them now, but we don't seem as old as they did. What's going on isn't just about bodies. First of all, the seniors I looked at when I was a freshman truly were older than me at that time. They graduated and went away, and later, when I was a senior, I saw myself as I was. But in my mind's eye, I saw the earlier seniors as they appeared to me when I was younger.
Absolutely.
Retrospective aging seems to also be about perspective.
Like if I ever see a senior in high school, like I'm driving and like, the kids are walking home from school or whatever, or some are 18, I guess, or whatever. I'm always looking at them. They look so young. And I remember being a freshman, and the seniors looked like full-grown women. Like, oh my God, that is a full-grown woman. And now if I see a senior in high school, I'm like, now if I see college kids, I'm like a freshman in college, I'm like, you're still a kid. And obviously not, but so true.
Let's go back to this tweet. This is George Wendt playing Norm on the TV show Cheers. Now, when Cheers premiered, Wendt was indeed 34, but I looked it up, and this image is actually from episode 24 of season 5 when Wendt was 38. So we're not comparing apples to apples here. However, This is an image of George Wendt at 34, and Ashley Fairbanks made some alterations and a good point. However, here's the rub.
Everyone is always like, WTF, how was Norm 34? And I hate to break it to you ladies, but this is what your boyfriend looks like under the beard and glasses.
These alterations...
Right? I think he's getting to the point where I think people back in the day wanted to look more like adults. Or maybe the adults themselves, compared to adults today, looked more formal. And I think that was just a trend. You wanted to look like you were more of a professional at 20 than you do today.
Don't make Wendt look more like a 34-year-old. They make him look more like a 34-year-old today. Similarly, giving the Golden Girls modern-day hairstyles and makeup drops their apparent age a lot. Superficial styles and mannerisms can often make not just a big difference, but all the difference, which supports the hypothesis that retrospective aging is often an illusion. Modes of self-expression are always changing.
If you can grow a beard, if you can grow big freaking sideburns at 19, I can't grow a full beard and I'm 28. My dad did say to me that he couldn't grow a full beard until he was 30. So, but if I just didn't shave my beard, maybe I'll do that 1 month. I wonder what it would look like after a month. I think it would just look like not full.
Clothing, hairstyles, expression are always changing. Clothing, hairstyles, accessories, makeup, mannerisms, language, body language. Now, modes can come back, but never exactly. The context is always a little bit different. And from what's available or acceptable at any one time, we each draw ways of appearing or being in the world. And even if you don't care about how you look or think about how you act, what options you even have are dictated by what's currently popular or normal or being pushed on people like you. Few of us stay at the stream, drawing what's new all our lives. For various reasons, we often wander away with our catch. Perhaps it's because we settle into an identity where...
Can I say this as well? So fashion from the 80s, like my parents, when my parents got married in 89. Sorry, mom and dad, if I'm off. I think in 89. My older brother was born in 91. Me 93, my sister 95. Is like oftentimes once you pass a certain age, you don't exactly conform to the new fashion trends. You stick a lot to what the fashion trends were before you stopped caring. And so to us, them wearing the clothes they used to wear, that's old people wearing those clothes. And so when we see those same people younger wearing similar clothes and similar hair and beard styles, we just sort of associate it with them being older, maybe.
We often wander away with our catch. Perhaps it's because we settle into an identity we're comfortable with. Wander away with our catch. Perhaps it's because we settle into an identity we're comfortable with, or fear the taboo of not dressing our age, or simply run out of time to care.
I don't have that fear.
But when we're gone, the stream keeps changing, and we get older and continue to use the mannerisms and styles we grabbed a while back. Eventually, to whatever those styles initially evoked, a new connotation is added.
Guys, did I not just perfectly say that right before this? I'm so smart. My IQ, like 100, is like
old person. Not because the look or behavior is intrinsically for the elderly, but because those who use it, us, became old ourselves.
I'm so proud of
myself. If you want to
myself.
look older, what do? Well, you can dress the way older people dress. And the thing is, That's often how they used to dress too.
And that would have looked like young compared to what their parents had. And so what their parents, they had a different style in like the 50s, and they continued to wear that stuff that the next generation in the 60s and 70s saw as old. And then that was old. And in 30 years, a lot of people are going to continue 2010s, 2010s, 2020s into the future. Because at some point you stop caring about what the young kids think is fashionable, and now you look old.
We think people looked older in the past because they look the way old people do today. Dale Irby, a gym teacher at Prestonwood Elementary School in Dallas, Texas, posed for his first yearbook photo in 1973. The following year, he accidentally wore the same outfit again. He says he was embarrassed at first, but his wife Kathy challenged him to do it again. So he did. And he never stopped.
It looks like he got younger each year. He looks oldest here. Second oldest, he looks youngest here. He even looks even younger there. Oh, wait.
He gave us is a great exaggerated example of how what once
Oh, wait. That is no. Yeah.
connoted youth comes to be associated
hilarious.
with old age. The people we keep seeing a style on get older and older themselves until we think of the style itself as being for old people. Retrospective aging, then, is double-pronged, both real and illusory. People in the past really did age faster than us because of differences in nutrition and lifestyle and medicine, but much, if not most, can be chalked up to the fact that we think people like this are dressed like old people. But that's an anachronism. They're dressed like old people from the future. The old people they would...
I think he could have phrased that better. They dress like young people in the past, I think would have been a better phrase.
Dressed like old people from the future. The old people they would become. Has anyone ever dressed like a young person from the future?
Sometimes just from the demeanor of the voice, I get the feeling an ad is coming on. Let's see if my spider senses are correct.
Well, it happened in 1941 at the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. A crowd came out to celebrate like a young person from the people they would become. Has anyone ever dressed like a young person from the future? Well, it happened in 1941 at the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada. A crowd came out to celebrate and photos were taken. In 2010, the photos were digitized and placed online. That's when this guy was noticed, a time-traveling hipster.
I'm so glad that wasn't the sharp side. I could go on a whole other video, a video's worth of a rant just talking about these sort of pictures of like a woman who looked like she was talking on a cell phone. And it amazes me the ability of people letting what they want to be true to be their most plausible hypothesis. It amazes me and annoys me.
Why a time traveler wouldn't bother to blend in, and why, with all of history to visit, he chose the reopening of a bridge in the 40s, no one knew. The photo was confirmed to be undoctored, and researchers put forward the idea that this man was not, in fact, a time traveler.
Really? He wasn't? He wasn't a time traveler. I was certain.
His shirt wasn't an ironic screen print, but simply bore the logo of the Montreal Maroons, a nearby hockey team at the time.
Yeah, it couldn't just be, you know, he's got these goggles on and a sweater. Has to be a time.
They said his sunglasses and knit sweater were not unusual for the 40s, nor was his portable camera.
No, we have evidence that these are from the year 2300. Wrong.
The only thing
all right, my sarcasm is being obnoxious, sorry.
Was unusual about him was how casual his attire was. And they're probably right. But this all raises the exciting possibility that someone out there right now, possibly even you, is unknowingly dressed like people in the future will. And your appearance in photos will someday freak.
I guarantee I'm one of those people. See this? I wear... I'm one of the least fashionable people you will ever meet. Everyone cares about how they look, but for me, comfort comes over aesthetic beauty. Comes fashion. Like, if it fits and I like being in it, I just wear it. And I know I'm strange, but yeah.
Freak them out. You know, it might, and your appearance in photos will someday freak them out. You know, it might be fun to start dressing even more casually or in some other odd way on the off chance that you happen to nail it, and years from now you are worshipped as a time traveler. Oh, that reminds me of today's worship.
That's a good idea.
Out. You know, it might be fun to start dressing even more casually or in some other odd way on the off chance that you happen to nail it, and years from now you are worshipped as a time traveler.
You could do something like one of those really clever, who's that, the Vine guy? He used to do Vines. I think he does TikTok or something. He's so, like, he was so good at, like, doing these crazy, like, a car's coming by, and he just jumps and just perfectly edit it. It's just in the car, or he, like, grabs through a computer screen that looks so real. You could really mess with people's heads that way.
Oh, that reminds me of today's sponsor.
Sponsor!
Hi, I'm Michael Stevens. Would you like to look like you're from...
Guys, make sure to use the slash pages / Vsauce, please. It gives them more money. It's an amazing channel. Whenever I react to stuff, I always have this kind of guilt that my job is so easy and I get paid for it. Yet the people who do the real work, I need to make sure, you know, at least, you know, the ads and whatnot and the original video. Please, if anyone is enticed to get a product on a video I react to, please use their / whatever, their link here. Just click the original link in the video and click that. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help them out.
From the future? Well, every season, those who subscribe to Vsauce's Curiosity Box receive a box full of delicious brain food that we have made that very few people have. Yet. This year, our summer box contains our Moire illusion cards, a bunch of other things I won't spoil, and this, a Pythagorean cup.
I know what this is.
Supposedly invented by...
Is this the one where if you... it's supposed to... like be a joke on people who drink too much? Like if you fill the cup, it's fine, it won't spill on you, but if you overfill, if you put too much in, then what they think, it'll all dump onto your legs.
By Pythagoras himself, it is widely considered the earliest known practical joke. It works just like a normal cup. Fill it up, carry it around, take a drink. Refreshing. But it punishes greed. If you pour yourself too much,
or alcoholics,
the internal siphon,
which I am,
will drain the entire contents.
How does this work?
Greed is good? More like greed is wet. A portion of all proceeds from the Vsauce Curiosity Box go directly to Alzheimer's research.
Is it because as it flows? Is it because
internal siphon will drain the entire...
As it reaches the top where it can pour into the tube leading to drain out the bottom onto you, Is it because when it reaches that level to go in, it sort of creates like a suction or like a vacuum where the bottom tubes want to go in?
Contents. Greed is good? More like greed.
So now this is the confusing part. It's like, all right, the liquid is now too low to flow down the initial valve, but I think that it doesn't matter because as it flows down, it creates a sort of vacuum where
greed is
the
wet.
rest of the liquid is sucked through here and then down.
A portion of all proceeds from the Vsauce Curiosity Box go directly to Alzheimer's research. So this box isn't just good for your brain, it's good for everyone's brain. And we've got a special treat for you. While supplies last, if you subscribe to the Curiosity Box, you can choose a bundle of some of our favorite items from past boxes.
Wait, all of it emptied. I was really curious to see if there would be like a centimeter or an inch left that couldn't reach it, but all of it
For
emptied.
your brain, it's good for everyone's brain. And we've got a special treat for you. While supplies last, if you subscribe to the Curiosity Box, you can choose a bundle of some of our favorite items from past boxes that we will throw in for free, just pay shipping. If you're not subscribed yet, I'm ready for you, with open arms and open neurons. Wow. Arms and open neurons. Wow. Whoa! Who's that guy? Does he look like a Bill, a Mark, a Justin, or a Josh?
This is cool. Does he look like a Bill, a Mark, Justin, or Josh? Not a Bill. Definitely not a Bill. It's tough, but I'm gonna knock out Josh too. I think it's in between Mark and Justin. It could be Josh. I'm gonna go Mark.
Pause right now if you'd like to think about it.
My answer's Mark. It's definitely not Bill.
According to research from Millsaps College and Miami University, this is Mark. Or at least, this is what we think people named Mark look like.
That blew my mind.
By asking people to make and rate digitally created faces, researchers were able to put together prototypical faces for a number of
Can I put out my face out and people can guess what my name is?
different names. This is apparently what we think a Josh looks
I was
like.
just about to say Josh! For a second I thought, wait, are they just putting up the same one? I was just about to say Josh.
A Bill,
Don't tell me the name until I see the face.
a Justin, a Dan,
I don't agree with the Dan one. He looks more like a... You see, he looks more like an Adam to me. He looks like... Dan is okay. Chris?
a Brian, a
I really wish he wouldn't show... I know what I can do. I'm going to mute it, and then I'm going to cover the bottom. A Tom, yeah. A Brian, yeah, okay. I muted it. Okay, who does that look like? That looks like a Jake. Andy. Oh, damn it.
certain face shapes in Andy. The idea that names might conjure certain face shapes in our minds.
If you don't know what my name is, please don't try and find out. And in the comments, guess what my name is. Or if you do know my name, do I look like a different name than my name?
Isn't that strange? For example, there's Wolfgang Kohler's famous finding that when asked which of these shapes is named Booba and which is named Kiki,
Obviously, Booba sounds like more of a curved thing, and Kiki sounds like a very, it's Kiki. It sounds very rigid.
People of all different ages and cultures and languages overwhelmingly assign Kiki to the spiky one and Booba to the blobby one.
I mean, that's not even that. One sounds more hard and one sounds more soft.
And sure enough, it certainly seems to work with names too. Which one of these men is Tim and which is Bob?
I feel like, so my instinct says this is Tim, this is Bob, but what I think the answer is going to be is this is Tim and this is Bob. I'm sticking with my gut. I think I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to say this is Tim, this is Bob.
Well, almost unanimously people feel like this is Tim and this is Bob. But are these men actually named Tim and Bob? Well, there's the rub. Just because we associate certain names, certain sounds with certain shapes doesn't mean we're right. There's no such thing as a biological name. If a person still goes by the same...
I think it also has a lot to do with the people you grow up around that had these names influence what you think a person of that name looks like.
Same name they were given as a baby, long before anyone knew what they would... person still goes by the same name. There's no such thing as a biological name. If a person still goes by the same name they were given as a baby, long before anyone knew what they would look like as an adult, well, surely there won't be a connection. But as it turns out, there is.
No.
Believe it or not, in a multiple choice setting, people can guess a stranger's name just by looking at their face. More often than we would expect from luck alone. It's called the face name matching effect.
How does that make any sense? That makes no sense to me, and we'll find out, because often a mother and father expecting a baby will go over baby names months before the the woman gives birth, and so you have no clue what your kid looks like. He looks like a Tom. He's in the stomach, and so how does that? So you're saying a name saying to something that can't hear you is going to develop into that name's stereotypical look.
Here's a stimulus from Zwebner's research.
That is a Chase, a Charles, or a Chris, or Kyle.
Do you think this man is named Jacob, Dan, Joseph, or Nathaniel?
Not Nathaniel. Not Joseph, Jacob, or Dan. I'm going to say Jacob.
By just randomly picking a name, people should get this right 25% of the time. But Zwebner found that people picked the correct answer, Dan, nearly 40%.
That was my second choice.
Of the time. What's going on? Can names actually cause us to grow to look a certain way? Well, apparently they can. It has been called a Dorian Gray effect. In Oscar Wilde, actually cause us to... What's going on? Can names actually cause us to grow to look a certain way? Well, apparently they can. It has been called a Dorian Gray effect. In Oscar Wilde's...
Okay, so everyone named their kid Chad, and what's like a good-looking woman's name? I don't know.
The picture of Dorian Gray, a portrait of the protagonist, ages and grotesquely reflects his evil deeds while he himself remains young and pure-looking. In a similar way, it seems that in some cases, our own appearance can come to reflect the name we were given. But I kind of think it's really more of a reverse Dorian Gray effect. I mean, in the book, Dorian's reality affects the appearance of his portrait, but the face name matching...
So the bones in your face are not decided by genes. They're decided by your name.
effect goes the other way. A portrait. But the face name matching effect goes the other way. A inanimate sign, a name, influences our actual physical appearance. Well, anyway, it's not news that a person's name can lead others to have certain expectations of them and treat them accordingly. It's been found, for example, that multiracial faces given European names are rated as looking more European than the same faces are when presented with non-European names. The expectations a name carries with it may create a self-fulfilling prophecy, whereby as a person grows up, they're motivated to fulfill those expectations, carry themselves in ways people think someone with their name should, and even like, dislike, accentuate, hide, use, and avoid different parts of their face and body depending on whether or not those parts match their name. It's been found that faces and names that match are emotionally liked more than faces and names that don't. Analysis of voting data has
Maine, we're pretty shallow.
shown that senatorial candidates earn 10% more votes when their names fit their faces very well than when they fit very poorly. Now, with that in mind, part of the effect could literally
10% discrepancy seems like a small enough discrepancy for that to be... I'm such a Debbie Downer this video.
than when they fit very poorly. Now, with that in mind, part of the effect could literally come from the fact that although parents don't know what their kid will look like as an adult, the parents do know what they look like, and without knowing it, tend to prefer names that match their faces.
Ah, now that makes sense to me.
Which are likely to resemble their child's face as well. But not always. If the dissonance is too great, a person can always change their name, either completely or by simply choosing a nickname. If I had been just a little bit different, Michael, could have always gone by Mike.
My friend Topher grew up with him my whole life. Like, his name is Christopher, but he's been called Topher for a long time. Even by his parents sometimes. Sometimes they call him Christopher, but yeah.
The fact that people can adjust their names to fit them, of course, merely strengthens the face name matching effect. By studying whether the correct name could be guessed when different parts...
Like, to me, this is the thing. I think Chase, or Kyle, because Chase is another lifelong childhood friend. I've had him, still friends with him today. And he has an older brother, Kyle, and they look like that. So I'm like, that's a Kyle.
Parts of a face were occluded. Researchers were able to develop the face name matching effect. By studying whether the correct name could be guessed when different parts of a face were occluded, researchers were able to develop heat maps showing which parts of the face different names are most characteristically associated with. Apparently, looking like an Anne is all about the tip of the nose. It's the bridge of the nose for Arthurs and the philtrum or snot trough for Benjamins. Aurélies are recognized by their face spiders. Let's go back to old people. How old is an old person? 70.
I feel like being old, like Joe Biden is younger than like Anthony Fauci, right? But Anthony Fauci looks and acts way younger than Joe Biden, so.
How old is an old person?
70.
73.7. That's according to results published in the Journal of American Geriatrics last year. It's the average age people gave when asked, when does old age begin? People under 65 on average said 71, and people over 65 on average said 77. Women said old age began 3 years later than men did.
I think there are certain stages to old age. There's clearly you're not 40s anymore. You know, you're in your 50s, but I wouldn't say that you're old. You know, like the silver fox stage. And then in your 60s, you're another degree of old, but still very much with it and active and can still do a lot of stuff. you get into your 70s, and I think the 70 to 80 transition is probably the most drastic. And then when you're in your 80s, like, you're old. And if you're anything past 80, you are ancient. In my opinion.
White people said it began 8 years later than non-whites did, and people who felt healthy placed old age later in life than those who felt less healthy. But how old do people want to be? Well,
I think a good age would be, I mean, a giant factor to deciding is, like, how, like, am I old? Like, if I get really old and can't move at like 90, I wouldn't want to live very long. But if I could stay young to a certain point, I think like 200 years would be a good point of being, you know, dying. I think I'd like to be like 200. But like when I'm 175, not be like in a wheelchair.
that depends on how old they already are. In America, the only people who are the age they would like to be are 21-year-olds. People younger than 21 wish they were older, and people older than 21 wish they were younger. People who are 40 wish they were 30, people who are 60 wish they were 40, and people who are 90 wish they were 60. When people are asked
I'm surprised people who are 90 didn't wish they were like 18.
if they could be one age forever, the average American...
25. 23. Not under 20. I wouldn't want to be a... 25. I'd like to be 25. Forever.
picks 36, which is actually how old I am right now, funny enough. Here's something else that's funny. Old people are more likely to think they dream in black and white. Not because it's part of the aging process, but because they are veterans of the great black and white dream epidemic of the 20th century.
That
Prior
because
to
of
the
TV?
1900s, Aristotle, Descartes, Freud, everyone who wrote about the topic reported that dreams contained color. But as humanity moved into the 20th century, the number of people reporting color in their dreams dropped just as quickly as the popularity of new black
Has anyone ever dreamed in black and white? I have not. Let me know in the comments.
and white in their dreams dropped just as quickly as the popularity of new black and white movies and TV rose. By the 60s, as color TV and movies became more and more common, reports of colored dreams started going back up. And today, people who grew up with black and white TV continue to report more black and white dreams than those who didn't. And later studies across China found the same thing. The frequency of black and white dreaming correlated strongly with how common black and white TV was in a person's...
That's surprising that that had a big enough effect on dreams to where you would dream in black and white that television had, because they didn't live in black and white, and I feel like most dreams are based off of experiences we have in real life, not on TV shows, and you'd think that they would just dream right in normal color.
area. So did how common black and white TV was in a person's area. So did black and white movies and TV literally change our dreams? Well, first of all, it's not clear whether dreams themselves actually changed or if people just started thinking differently about their dreams. We're trying, but we still haven't found a way to get direct access to dream content. Eric Switchable has...
I had a dream from childhood I have never forgotten, and it's strange. And this is when I was probably under 10 years old. The dream, two dreams. One dream was where I was walking up my stairs to bed at night, and there was this like blanket on the floor at the top of the stairs. And I just looked at it weirdly, and it like sucked me under. Another dream, though, that was more, you know, is I remember I was in my house. Again, I was like under 10. And my whole family, I think, was killed by this zombie who was walking around the house. And we had a crib in one room at the time. I remember hiding under the crib and then seeing the dead zombie walk in and bend down to look under. And right before I could see his eyes, I woke up. Another dream I had in college, which was scary, was I had this scary dream where something like sucked me under, like something like grabbed me from the end of my bed. And then I woke up. And then I'm like, what the hell just happened? And something grabbed me at the end of my bed again. And then I woke up for real. And that was crazy. I went on a tangent there.
To get direct access to dream content. Eric Switchable has pointed out that as far as we know, dreams may not be in color or black and white, or sepia or anything. They may be primarily indeterminate in color as they happen, and only later, during recall, do we confabulate details about color.
That's interesting.
He compares dreaming to reading. Is a novel in color or black and white? As you read a story,
interesting. Good
what
analogy.
do you see in your mind? It might be the case that dreams...
You don't see anything in your mind. I mean, in terms of images. But you can sort of... Well, yeah, I guess you do in images. But no, you don't, like, think about the color of the wagon leading to your Hogwarts trip in your dream. Yeah.
Dreams, vaporous as they are something we simply have a terrible grip on, and that movies and TV shows have given us the illusion of understanding them. In fact, Switchable has speculated that smells and touch sensations are rare in dreams today, but future people with smelly, touchy-feely VR shows might think that they dream with lots of textures and odors and find it strange.
Is anyone... Everyone must have had a dream where they were, like, in a fight or something. Has anyone ever been in a fight in a dream, and when you try to throw a punch, you can't do it? Like, you do, but in, like, the most slow, unathletic way ever. It's so weird. Punching in a dream. It's like, all right, I'm punching, and it's like, I'm losing the fight. Why can't I punch? And, crazy.
Maybe even frightening that few of us seem to. But why think that they dream with lots of textures and odors and find it strange? Maybe even frightening that few of us seem to. But why would we think that dreams were like moving pictures and not normal waking life? Well, no one knows. It might be that motion pictures are just simply the closest thing we have to dreaming that isn't dreaming. Unlike still images, paintings, photographs, tapestries, motion pictures and dreams can contain movement and narrative and cause and effect. And unlike stage plays or real life, motion pictures and dreams are not made of anything that is even remotely similar to what they depict. They're both made of phantoms. Images are uncanny things. A person in an image is frozen in time, but yet can seem to grow old. Our own image can depend on what we are called, and they're the closest thing we have to what our mind does when we're away. Do you get the picture? Or does the picture get you? And as always, thanks for watching.
I love you. He's great. Vsauce, awesome. I forgot that this wasn't all about dreams. It was, do you look older? Yeah, so I think it has a lot to do with diet, not, you know, a less nutritious diet, making your body grow older, the fashion trends of the parents, and just the fact that people don't, there becomes a point where people stop following fashion trends in their life, you know, and just stick with the clothes that they used at the time, and so they look older. Yeah, some of those are crazy, though. Hope you're all doing well. If not, chin up. You'll be good soon. Don't worry. See you guys. Bye.